Okay, welcome back everybody to Just Conversations. My name's Dean Lloyd, Lloyd Criminal Consulting. Just Conversations, solution-focused communication with a goal of informing systemic change. And as always, my next guest needs no introduction. Over to you, Shannon.
Yeah, no, I'm great to be here. These connections across continents is always really cool. And so, we got our different artwork in the background. It's kind of competing. My little horses are running. You got the abstract thing. So, my name is Shannon Ross. I'm just basically somebody who tries to do a lot with the mistakes that I made in my life and the lessons I've learned to apply to hopefully have other people avoid that and find their pathway to success in the nonprofit, for profit, and I guess other projects that I manage in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, here in the United States around the justice system and healing.
Okay, thank you. That glitched out a bit for me. I don't know if it did for you, but are
Oh
you?
no, not for me.
Okay, all good. Hopefully the recording's all good. So
Yeah,
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 we connected maybe a couple of years ago. You were not
yeah,
were just out. Is that true when you were just out?
yeah. I think it was pretty fresh. I mean, I've been out 3.5 years now, so not even coming up on that. And yeah, I think it was sometime short
Yeah,
after I
it
was
was like
out
a
that
couple of weeks, I think,
connected.
since you're out, and I
Mm.
could sense your trepidation towards me, and understandable, and all that sort of stuff. You don't trust me straight up, which is fine. Eventually, we exchanged some T-shirts too, didn't we?
Right, right, right. Yeah, we
I'm still
did.
going strong. Um, so yeah, just tell us a little bit more about. So how long did you do, and how long you've been out for 3 and a bit years, and what have you seen that's different, or what are you trying to change in your environment at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, 3.5 years, I feel like I've lived in several lifetimes since I've been out. And just different things I've been doing with getting my master's degree. When I got out, I had a trucking company briefly, like about a little over a year, that didn't pan out and went through bankruptcy personally as a result of debt there. So entrepreneurship, the creation of failure very quickly. I have found my way through the nonprofit space with like having a small nonprofit that I had called the Community when I first got out, which helps individuals that are incarcerated become as prepared as possible prior to release. And then we do a lot to focus on the narrative around our population and the way we see ourselves and the way society sees us. Because for me, underneath all the bad policy, all the hiring restrictions and denials, all the employment difficulties that folks have is the narrative. It's all about like the way people see us and the way folks that are politicians oftentimes feel they have to or can benefit from voting to kind of throw us under the bus in the name of creating safety and justice, which as we know, is not true.
Yeah.
And so kind of just I created the nonprofit when I was inside, got out, started to push it forward. We are currently hiring 2 people. We're going to have a team of 4 full-time staff within about a month now with these 2 new hires. And so, we've had a lot of growth and really, I think a lot of connections and a lot of support. So found myself from that and getting my master's degree, like I said, to then moving on to now being a consultant at another university here to create a peer support program for their higher education and prison program. That's Marquette University. I just find myself into a lot of spaces with youth justice now and prevention and this community building that I'm at, this 70,000 square foot space that I'm kind of helping co-develop.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been a lot of things that I find myself into around, again, healing, community work, and just safety and stability in communities.
Yeah, wow. Thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting because that's, on to understand where you would, had the trucking company and that sort of didn't work out, and just understanding how to employ people in the space. Obviously, or not obviously, the question is the 4 people that you're going to put on, or the 4 new staff formerly incarcerated.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, well, so here's the one thing though. I'm not big on exclusively trier people that are system impacted. Like right now, my
yeah, yeah.
my my hope is that we can find people that fit the roles that are formerly incarcerated. But more importantly, what I've found is that I think when we focus on that sometimes, especially smaller organizations, we need to get stability. And so like there needs to be a development portion where we can actually give folks that are formerly incarcerated what they need to succeed in these roles. But we also need to create that system and that foundation of the organization. So like I myself am in need of some of that support, right? So like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
able to always give somebody that at the organization. So right now, more than anything, I'd say if there was like a 51-49, it'd be 51 somebody who can do the job, and then 49 would be other system impacted. So if I can't get that, but I can get somebody that's quality, that really understands the work and what we're doing, but they're not system impacted, like for now, definitely would go with that. And then in the future, more of an emphasis on let's start developing folks, bring people in, really get in that spot. So hopefully, hope the candidates that we get are going to be, fully incarcerated. That's my goal, my hope.
Yeah, I really love hearing that because I have the same ethos of together we can, like division is the enemy. So like if it's all lived experience or whatever you want to label it,
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
mix.
well, we're excluding, like we're doing what others are doing to us. So why would we want to do that to them? And the best person for the job, really. And that's what I always advocate for when I'm, supporting formerly incarcerated people into employment with employers. I was like, I just want a level playing field. I'm not asking for anything
Yeah,
special. I just want everyone to be equal and included. And if they're the best person for the job, then give them a job.
yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, cool. So where in your current work, where do you see the most friction? Like where are you sort of hitting back? Like, I need help there, or how can we move
Yeah,
in that space?
there's a lot of things in that is an answer. Like organizationally, like I said, we need to have systems, we need
Yeah, so
to have
mainly
things in a good
systemically, yeah.
foundation. Like yeah, I mean, you look at any organization that's been around for a while. The reason, and that's the reason why the system wins, right? The system has this foundation that even if one person falls off, or if they lose this grant or this funding, but they have an edifice that just continues no matter what. So, like, how do we then, as organizations and as entities working together, create our edifice or our system that can like withstand any kind of the ups and downs that kind of comes? It can't be like based on one individual at the top, right?
Yeah.
That person leaves and it all crumbles. Like so that's the thing I need most is kind of get us in a position where as an organization, as a movement that, we can withstand whatever happens, people falling off or leaving, the work continues in a really positive sense. I think personally, just finding my balance, like, I think we come out with this chip on our shoulders and this energy to kind of do what needs to be done to get like people behind us not having to go through the same thing we did and create a very different approach towards the way we see people that commit crimes and why they commit crimes in the first place, preventing them from getting to that point. That we kind of wear ourselves out really quickly. Sometimes we burn ourselves out, and I've been there a number of times already. I've hit the wall. Uh, I don't even call it hitting. Sometimes I feel like because I was very aware of burnout, that it's like I feel the wall and I'm like, okay, it's there. Like I can't go
Yeah,
any further. Like so, it's not a crash because if it was a crash, I would have like had a period where I had to fall and get away all. But like knowing I need to do something, I need to take something off my shoulders. I can't keep going this way. So that's kind of personally what I'm trying to figure out is how do I create a sustainability for myself so that I can keep doing the work and be happy, right? Be content, be peaceful.
yeah. Wow, you just, hit the nail on the head. So for me, getting out that chip on my shoulder, it's like, sort of what you have to do to survive when you're in. Like you still got that suit of armor. And I always say to people, when that cell door swings open in the morning, you don't know what's coming at
Yeah.
you, but you have to have that suit of armor on. And it's hard to wash off. It took me about 5 years to wash off, I think.
Mm.
So yeah, kudos to the acknowledgement and awareness around that. So what excites you about the work that you're doing?
I think what excites me is that I don't see the work that we're doing being done anywhere. And I don't mean that in a competitive sense or like we're
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
I mean that we have like a lane that needs to be addressed and handled and created. And I'm glad that we're in a space to do that. And it's a space that the work we're done is specifically meant to foster collaboration and soil change, right? So like if we succeed at what we're doing, it's not like we succeed. If we succeed at the specific area we're doing with narrative and creating better preparation for folks coming home, that doesn't depend on the system to do it, right? Like if I have to wait for the
yeah,
system's approval, then every day maybe I can't get in because like there's a shakedown or whatever reason. But if what we have is an apparatus to get inside through modalities that we control, or like you can't stop, mail's going to be coming, right? Emails are going to be coming, phone calls, like so we can start to grow people in ways that don't depend on any other edifice or decision maker or entity. I love about that is that if we succeed, everyone's going to be better, right? Like other organizations, other partners, they're going to have better prepared people coming home to then further support. They're going to have better support in communities because people are seeing the issue differently, so they want to support those groups. They want to change laws. So like that's what I love is that what we're doing is work that will impact everyone in the ecosystem, not just one spot or just us or the people that we serve. Like it's everywhere goal.
yeah. I've sort of coined it innovative evolution. I've just come back from the
Mm.
Netherlands, and they do everything. Everything they do has a purpose and a focus to improve. So they're
Yeah,
like, okay, how do we, so that innovative, and they incorporate a humane approach around ensuring that people are, they have an ethos around spitting people out of the system better, which is
yeah,
sounds like, that's what you're trying to achieve, as well as when one of us wins, we all win. Like that's a definite,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Ubuntu.
So yeah, so obviously you've gone into the space of advocacy, supporting people getting out, the community and all that sort of stuff. It's interesting because, there's not, not a lot of people can do this work, or, the burnout and all that sort of stuff that you spoke about. So where would you be if you weren't in this situation? You weren't able to, you've done your masters and you've stepped up and you've done all that sort of stuff. Where would you be, do you think, without that sort of, like, the trucking company didn't work? Would you be, can you get a job with somebody else with your record?
Yeah, so we don't have a huge issue that I'm seeing with getting a job. Now, getting a career, getting something sustainable, getting something that's meaningful to each individual, that's a little more difficult, right? And that's why right now, I realize as I'm saying this, it sounds like I'm bringing things back to our work, but we are right now creating this learning platform where folks coming home will be able to identify something that connects to what they are good at, like skills assessment test, and then we'll have career packets that will address anything at all that's an option when you get out, not just like a couple or vocational, but like anything at all. And so people can start to see what's possible, really broaden their horizons and choose something that we can help them prepare for, whether that's like 20%. If you're a plumber, I can't get you to be a plumber, 100% before you get out. Like you got to plumb, right? You
Yeah.
got to actually do that on the job. But like writing, things like getting into a lot of fields where it's study heavy, we can get you heavily prepared for that before you get out. And so whatever that number is we can get you at before you get out, like we want to do that. We want you to be as prepared as possible prior to release in the field that will connect with you instead of the job that you're going to hate, that you're going to feel like is prison. Because a lot of guys I know come home and they'll say like, I had to quit that job and it felt like prison,
Yeah.
right? Like folks are looking for freedom and peace and a connection. And peer support has been a huge one. Like people come home, they love to get involved in mentorship, peer support. What
Yeah.
do I do with this heavy experience that I feel like I aim from that I can give back to somebody else to prevent it for them? Like that's an area that we've gotten involved in that we're loving the energy that we see from folks that feel like this is it. Like I found something that really means something to me and I can get paid for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such an important miss that I think a lot of people that aren't, aware of our journeys and plights is, it's all well and good. Hey, here's a job, but it's like, I don't want to do that job. Like, fair enough, you're giving me work and I can get paid, but I don't want to do that. And to increase community capacity, we need to be able to bring people up and give them jobs and give them work that they want to do. And I was speaking
Yeah.
to Cardell Sims a couple of weeks ago, and the difference between freedom and free doom. So getting out of prison, and it's like, okay, here's some freedom, but then you can't do what you want to do. So like it's sort of free doom. It's like everyone thinks getting out of prison is a great experience, but it's a really it was traumatic for me. I don't know what it was like. Just can you talk a little bit about that experience for you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I always like feel uncomfortable talking about my experience with getting out because I didn't experience a lot of the difficulties that a lot of folks do. I think what's interesting there, what's poignant, is not like I'm different. It's not that. It's more. I mean, where everyone's different. Everyone has unique skills and weaknesses, but it's more about like I had things in place before I got locked up. Like I didn't have any ACEs, right? That's huge. I think that's like a key component to the way people um, interact with and digest their incarceration and then how they release is if you don't have that trauma heavy experience before going in, it gives you a little bit of ability to be nimble. And then also when I was in, I had support, right? So like if people don't have as many things going in that's going to hold them back, and if they have support while they're in, it's going to be that much easier for them when they're out. And that's a big part of my journey is that I feel it's an obligation because I didn't choose to not have any ACEs any more than a person chooses to have them. I didn't choose to
Yeah,
have support any more than a person chooses to not have support, right? Like I have just been lucky to have some of these things in place that motivates me to give a lot of my time and energy back to the work and back to the folks that are still in that I mean I know need to be out here. And so like that's the commentary I think is relevant for me is that I didn't have as much of a struggle because I had things that are very obviously needed that if we give folks, they won't have as much of a struggle as well. And to the ACEs part, like, identifying and recognizing that when people go in, they're carrying things that a lot of folks didn't necessarily have. And we sit out here and we cast at individuals for things that they've done with no idea of the stuff that led up to that. So it's been an interesting journey with that.
Yeah, I really relate to that because I didn't know, most of my trauma comes from prison and being in prison and violent instances in prison. I didn't have any of those ACEs and adverse childhood experiences just for the lay people. Um, that's what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I didn't have any
Yeah.
of that either. So it's interesting, interesting to hear that. I still did, and I still feel like I do face barriers around employment and more moving up into management levels. Like like, you're really good at the coalface. That's where your work is. It's like, well, no, I want to be up in policy. I want to start doing some stuff. So that's where I'm
Hmm.
finding the limits at the moment. Yeah, but it's really good to hear the difference because that's what this is about
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
value in the difference, understanding the value in the difference and the value in the difference that you provide, that excites me, and the work that you do. So
Yeah.
how do you replenish? What do you do to fill your cup?
So I don't do as much as I need to, and that speaks back to what I'm trying to like figure out how do I get to this point where I have that more regularly. I know what I need because I had it when I was in prison, right? I was pretty peaceful in prison, other than the constant pining for freedom, right? Which is I think pretty heavy in itself. But beyond that, I was able to wake up and have something that I knew I was going towards and I was focusing on, I was getting ready for, and I enjoyed writing and reading and meditating, being peaceful and haven't had that since I've been out. Like somebody I told the other day, they asked me if I saw something on the news, and I said I haven't watched the news since I used to get up at chow, to get up at 6 a.m. for chow, and so I just don't have like time for a lot of things. And I think for me, it's as simple as if I can get, just even two healthy quality meals a day, right? If and not like starving or like being starved, I just am so busy sometimes I don't eat breakfast till like 2 p.m. But that's not healthy. And then if I can get like, good healthy meals, if I can get some sun and if I can get exercise a couple times a week, and of course sleep. If I need my like at least 7 hours of sleep, that's it. Like my cup is replenished just from those simple things in life because I'm so driven in this work that I enjoy the work. I just need to have the energy for it and space to like get a little breaks here and there. Beyond that though, I love like last night I was a really draining day. We were at Capitol all day, like advocating for this bill to get passed to let folks get a chance at release that were sentenced as juveniles, and a lot of meetings going on and travel, and like had to come home and have some conversations with people that needed to talk about problems. And then it got to like 10 o'clock. I get home and I just put on this comedy special, like just laughed, right? Like so, just little
Yeah,
things like that, kind of just really are simple as that for me to be fueled.
yeah, yeah. That's really appreciate your time, Shannon. It's been great talking to you. Um, I love the work that you do. I look forward to hearing and following your journey further. Good luck with the new employees. Is there anything that you want to shout out? Anyone you want to shout out to, sell something? Here's a platform, hopefully, to say, hey, jump on this or whatever you want to say.
I don't know. I mean, like I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention if anyone buys coffee, we have a partnership right now with Collectivo Coffee, which is a local, I guess they're a bit of a franchise. They have a lot of coffee shops in Milwaukee where I'm at, and then a couple in Chicago and Madison. And they have this promotion that they're doing for the next 3 days where they paid a nice amount. They gave $1,000 to currently and formerly incarcerated artists to create work that's on their coffee bags. And it's a Valentine's Day promotion. And we're getting all proceeds from the coffee. So it's a $16 bag of coffee, and we get all of that for the next 3 days. So if anyone's going to buy coffee, if you want to go ahead and buy it from Collectivo for the next 3 days, that'll be a way to support us directly. None of it's going to Collectivo, and these artists work and get their name out for like the stuff they do. Um, and beyond that, I think like the general, theme that I try to tell folks is if you do a record, if you are somebody that's carrying that heaviness, realize that is a heaviness that can be a strength or it can be a weakness. And the way you carry that story, the way you carry the things you've done that have happened to you, is something that is going to determine the way that you encounter life and the way things go for you, because it's going to hold you down or it's going to be something you can use to get in the doors and to like if you have a heaviness, a heavy person can knock a door down, right? Can get in there, or heaviness can make a person like so heavy they don't even get to the door because they just give up, right? So the way you carry that, the way you use it as a motivator and momentum, is going to make a difference significantly in the way you experience life and this freedom that you have. And there are so many of us that are doing great things that have done terrible things in our past, and people are willing to give you a chance. People are open there. They just they want to know and they want to feel like that it's they understand why. And like telling our stories is so important. I don't tell people why I went to prison when they ask. I tell people like that I have a crime at the most because I want them to understand that people that have violent crimes need a different view, a different image. But
Yeah.
beyond that, I don't go into the voyeurism or the sensationalism. Like, you know, ask me questions that help you understand who I am. Like, what am I doing now? Where am I going? And so, like, forcing folks to really ask better questions and to challenge people and to say, like, you want to know who I am? To help you understand that. But like, let's ask better questions. Like, and how do we at the same time understand that our self-worth is not tied to a thing we did in the past. It's tied to who we are now and where we're going, right? And that thing we did in the past is a tool to help us get there and now in the present. And so like just folks understanding the self-empowerment component of their story is so huge for me because as much as we want to change the system, as much as we're angling to create better policy, um, can do so much in our own lives and in our own every day to day, make our, you know, our path better than waiting for others to come save us, right? Like, you know, waiting for Superman. Like you're Superman. No one else is going to save you. No one else is going to save us at the end of the day. We've got to do that for ourselves while we're trying to do it for those behind us.
Yeah, yeah. Same as what happened with Cardell's. Like that personal, when I take responsibility for myself, then that's when things change. Like I hold myself
Mhm.
accountable. No one else can, people can try and force accountability on me, but it rarely works. And you know, the other one I like to say is, you know, if you continue to judge me on my past, you'll never get to experience the best of me right now. And it's never too late.
Yeah,
It's never too late.
absolutely.
Never too late to change. So once again, thank you for the time. Thank you for your work. Check out the coffee. Check out the community. Thanks for your time,
So
Shannon.
on our social media, yeah, all our social media, you can find the link right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'll
our
post it
webpage.
all on, I'll link it all up. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks for your
absolutely.
time.
Thank you.